What's up, guys? Welcome into it. It's the pre-Friday celebration. Yeah, buddy. You know it. And boy, do we have a show today lined up for you. Good golly. Got a lot to get to, so hang tight as we get everything up and going here for the radio program starting in just a couple of minutes. Bottom of the hour today, we have Roland Rich. He is author of the book, The United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in the Post-American World. We'll talk about the globalism, United Nations, big government,
2 minutes till broadcast.
The thing, the thing. Welcome to it. Who's ready for a Thursday? Oh, yeah. Big show lined up tomorrow, by the way, too. If you are looking for something to do tomorrow, we're going to be here, like always. But we have as Donald Trump says, huge. We have a huge show. It's bigly. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he's going to be joining us. Also,
1 minute till broadcast.
Thank you, Mrs. Voice of Reason. Not only do we have Mike Pompeo, also we're going to step away from politics for a minute tomorrow. And we're also going to have another guest on who has died for close to 2 hours, and then came back and wrote about what he saw on the other side. So that'll be fun. We'll do that tomorrow as well. All right, if you are on the live streams, then welcome aboard. We're trying to get everything up and going here. Thanks for hanging out.
30 seconds till broadcast.
30 seconds. Whatever will we do? Do I have enough time? I don't know that I have enough time. There we go. All right, if you're on there, welcome, like it out, share it out. Let's have some fun today. Break those algorithms on social media, man. We're getting banned again. Getting blocked, getting censored. Hang tight. Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Republicans right now, the conservatives, which unfortunately, this is what we have to do every time, even after a vote where people are sick and tired of the establishment, they're sick and tired of the squeezy, middle-of-the-road, squishy kind of Republican rhinos, and we vote conservatives in, then we have to fight tooth and nail in D.C. to actually be heard within the Republican Party.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You're darn tootin' it is. Welcome into the program. It's a pre-Friday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. As we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we are officially close to it. You can almost smell it. It's either that or burgers. I'm not quite sure what it is. Welcome into the show. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. As always, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, multiple radio stations all over the place, and more jumping on here soon as well. Live streaming, TV, podcasting. However you watch or listen to the show, we always love you to death. Your Millennial General reporting for duty like we do every single day. Holy cow, man. I swear, there's never enough time in the day for us to talk about everything that needs to be talked about. And I say that every day, but I say it with honesty and sincerity. My email, whenever I don't get to something, I email the link of the article to myself to remember, like, oh, hey, you have an archive of things to get to here. As Rush Limbaugh used to call it, the stack of stuff. And I have one that continues to grow because I have so many emails that I've emailed to myself with links of stories that I finally just have to start clearing them out because I realize they're out of date and there's no use of even talking about them. So we're going to try and cram as much as we can in today. Bottom of the hour, Roland Rich. He is a United Nations expert. Don't need to be much of an expert to realize how dumb they are, but nonetheless, he's also has his new book, The United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in the Post-American World. We'll talk about globalization. We'll talk about where the United Nations is at. Have a lot of questions, especially on how they're going to handle, I don't know, like Russia doing humanitarian crisis things, and we'll get to some of that and more. Where we're at the World Economic Forum that happened and where we're at with the big government across the globe. So we'll get to all that in a bit. I want to bring it back to the domestic home front here, though, for our latest and what's trending for the day.
What's trending today?
As there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. And by the way, if you're a Republican, stand up for a second, applaud. And I never thought we would say this. I never thought that we would get to this point, but applaud, pat yourself on the back. You are winning in Washington, D.C. You're winning in the House of Representatives. We may not get all of the agenda done out of the House of Representatives through the Senate and to the president. In fact, we're going to get very little done. But it's the point that matters that we're trying. We're putting them up there, and I swear to you Republicans, all the bills that you're putting up right now that you're not getting, you better damn well put up once you actually get the majority in both chambers and the presidency in 2024, which I am extremely optimistic about. But for a second, let's take the victories that we have. Let's take the wins. Let's take the big W for a second, and I'm not talking about George W. Let's take the W while we can, and the fact that we have reined in Kevin McCarthy. We have reined in many of the moderate Republicans, and for a single moment, cherish this moment, the universe has aligned itself perfectly for just a second. Republicans are united in actually getting things done together without the bickering amongst themselves within the party. That right there should be something of all. The stars have aligned for once in a millennia to allow this to actually happen. So again, pat yourself on the back. And let's revel in it, or relish in it for just a moment here. Kevin McCarthy standing strong. It is fun to watch Democrats squirm a little bit when they start losing authority, because, again, both the Republican and Democrat establishment thought that once Donald Trump was out of office, that things would go back to normal. They could go back to just talking about their talking points to the media and then still doing whatever they want to do, passing bills left and right without us really knowing what type of bills they're passing, and then just going about to business as normal, which is what the establishment wants. Once the Republicans got the House of Representatives this election, they thought again, well, the Republicans are going to control it, but they're going to just throw a little temper tantrum. We'll have a few of the moderates go with the Democrats. We'll pass some stuff. We're not going to shut down the government. There's not going to be a big threat. When in fact there is. And Kevin McCarthy, thankfully, is holding true to his word so far. And we have to, again, praise him for when he's doing something. It's almost like a dog. You got to praise them when they're good to continue to do good things. We have to continue to hype him up right now because he's doing what needs to be done. If you haven't heard, there's a few Democrats that have been booted off certain committees in the House of Representatives. And they're not happy about it. In fact, they're livid about it because they think that Kevin McCarthy has just sold his soul to the devil to the most radical, extreme conservatives that are in the House, like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and some of those guys. Again, evil to Democrats. When you hear those names, they bleed a little bit. They just, they bleed. This was Mr. Adam Schiff just earlier today as they held a press conference. Him and Eric Swalwell and Ilhan Omar, who have all been booted off the Intelligence Committee. Now, why they were on the Intelligence Committee in the first place, I'm not quite sure. They're probably some of the least qualified individuals to be on the Intelligence Committee. And by Intelligence Committee, I mean they get to see all of the great classified information, all of the threats to the nation, all of the intelligence nationwide and globally on threats to the nation, and make proper decisions and recommendations on what we should do to further the safety of our nation. And you can see how well or lack thereof that it's run over the last few years, because if you remember, since the beginning of the Biden administration, the quote-unquote Intelligence Committee, and I use that in air quotes because they're more political hacks than experts in intelligence or safety for the nation, they're the ones, this committee, they're the ones that have come out to say that white supremacy is the greatest threat to the American nation. Now, is it a threat? Sure, there's a bunch of dummies out there who think that just because of their skin color, they're more superior than somebody else. If you believe that, you're stupid. I'm just throwing it out there, and if you don't like that, you can turn off the program. I don't care. If you think that you're superior or a victim, either way, based on your skin color, then you obviously are a low vibrational, low individual who only focuses on very literally skin-deep issues. And you're not thinking with your entire brain, because we don't like identity politics. We need to move past those. But according to them, they say white supremacy, who really only accounts for about 1.5% of the entire U.S. population, the last numbers I've seen at least, are the biggest threat to the United States. That MAGA is the domestic terrorists, meaning anybody associated, any Republican, any Trump supporter, any quote-unquote election denier, by their words, you are the biggest threat to democracy, even though we don't have a democracy. You are the biggest threat to the nation, and you're borderline domestic terrorists. That entire PR stunt from the Democrat Party has come from the quote-unquote Intelligence Committee, who says that we are the biggest threat to this nation that's related to the president over the last few years. That's why you're getting removed from this position. Other than the fact that you're corrupt as hell, but we'll go along with that. Adam Schiff wasn't very happy. Watching the Democrats throw a little temper tantrum today was kind of entertaining.
This decision by Kevin McCarthy to bow to the demands of the most extreme elements of his conference and use the Intelligence Committee as this kind of political plaything doesn't show the strength of his speakership. Indeed, it shows the weakness of his speakership, that he is so beholden to the most extreme elements of his conference.
All right, let's stop right there for a second. The play thing that he has, I mean, he's just playing. He's not trying to do anything. He's not trying to make any changes. He's just playing. It's just a game to him, which is why he's removing Republicans or Democrats off of the House Intelligence Committee, making those changes. Here's the headline for you that you need to be aware of, Adam Schiff and all you other Democrats. Changes are coming to Washington, D.C. No more of the same old. No more of the go along, get along. No more of the elitist entitlement mentality. I know you feel entitled to be on a committee. You don't, and you're not, and you don't have to be there. So guess what? We don't have to go along with your crying and moping because this is kind of funny.
And it bodes, I think, poorly for how he'll conduct the remainder of his speakership for however long or short that may last. But more to the point, by arrogating to himself the decision about who on the Democratic side of the aisle should lead the Intelligence Committee, who should sit on the Intelligence Committee, he will cause the intelligence agencies, I think, to distrust this action, and in combination with the formation of this so-called Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, which ostensibly will have access to classified information.
Oh my. He's going to make the Intelligence Committee, meaning the FBI and the CIA, the intelligence community, question whether they want to relay information to the House representatives and the Intelligence Committee themselves. Oh, really? The plaything, removing them, distrusting. Now, that could happen if there's some political hacks in the FBI and CIA, which there obviously are, with the raids that happened after Donald J. Trump and the classified documents down there. So obviously there are some political hacks within the agencies, but that's their job to report to the Intelligence Committee. They don't get a say one way or the other. So for him,
well, they're going to distrust them, and there's not going to be faith in the committee, and they're not going to want to release the intel.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure that's what they have to do. They can't just go rogue and be like, no, we're not sharing that stuff because we don't trust you, because you're political now, because we made changes and got rid of political hacks that were on there before. And again, we know that they're going to throw their temper tantrums. There's nothing we can do to convince them otherwise. But man, this is truly the kid in a candy store flailing on the ground, angry while they put on a fake smile because they have to get through this. Let's continue, shall we?
It will only, I think, breed distrust within the intelligence community as to what it can share and what it can feel confident about sharing with the Congress. That will impact policymakers in terms of the information that we have to make decisions about how to protect our national security. So this is, I think, not an unexpected but nonetheless destructive move by Kevin McCarthy that will bode ill in the future for the kind of decisions that he has to make to placate the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Paul Gosars, and of course his boss down in Mar-a-Lago, the disgraced former president.
Oh, there it is. Zing! Got to get those little zingers in there, man. Got to get those little zingers. Now, let's remember who Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell and Ilhan Omar are and why they would be removed from an intelligence committee that would be seeing some of the highest classified information in this nation and would be making decisions of safety, national security, domestic security in this country based on the intel that they have. Let's start off with Adam Schiff, one of the most corrupt politicians in Washington, D.C. right now, who led the charge illegally, wrongfully, and unneedingly against Donald Trump for the impeachment twice because of false information that he received that he still has not backtracked on regarding the quote-unquote collusion with Russia and other things, of course. He led those charges. Nobody else. That was him. That was his 15 minutes in the limelight, and he hasn't gotten a whole lot of limelight since then, so that's why he's a little bitter there. He's one of the most corrupt politicians to use fake information, the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop, the use of the collusion with Russia, which he knew was a farce, and he used that to try to impeach the president, which he did successfully 2 times against President Donald J. Trump. Then you have Eric Swalwell, the guy who, remember Fang Fang? Oh, yeah, the guy who literally slept with a Chinese spy while being the chair of the Intelligence Committee in the House of Representatives and had an affair with a Chinese spy, giving her information with their nice little pillow talk. Yeah, you really think that he needs to be on the Intelligence Committee, right? Throwing a fit up there, causing a scene.
Oh, they didn't get, John Boehner didn't get rid of me, Paul Ryan didn't get rid of me, Nancy Pelosi didn't get rid of me.
Yeah, because we're doing a change here. Things are changing. Hope and change. Remember that one? We're going to start using that term against them. Hope and change is happening. We're going to get some hope back, and we're going to make some changes in D.C. because of that hope. Oh, yes. Then you had Ilhan Omar, who, by the way, just caused a massive issue in the nation by going after, quote-unquote, white people, by not remembering what happened on 9/11, going after the Jewish community, starting a hate speech bill and turning it around against hate against Muslim people or something. Oh, yeah, she's a real stand-up quality politician to be in D.C. to run the Intelligence Committee as well, right?
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
Fighting for freedom every day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Man, you would think that if you're trying to win over the mass general public, that you would not have the most radical yahoos in the Democrat Party coming out throwing a temper tantrum about losing their seats in the House Intelligence Committee. You would think that you would find the most rational, moderate ones to be like, hey, there's a problem here. Kevin McCarthy's not working in a bipartisan manner. We're not working together. He's only stacking the courts, stacking the committees with Republicans and conservatives and the radical right-wingers when we need to be more moderate, more middle of the road. The only problem is, though, is that the moderate ones actually aren't leaving. So it's not a partisan thing. It's not a Republican-Democrat thing. He's only getting rid of the crazies. The Intelligence Committee, one of the most important ones that we could have, has a lot to do with classified information, which right now we can't really trust Democrats with that information now, can we? Oh, zing, zing. Obviously, with what's going on with Joe Biden right now. But we have Adam Schiff, who wrongfully and unconstitutionally, in my opinion, impeached the former president, 2 times based on false information that he knew was false information for a political hit job, which is not the purpose of the committee, nor as a politician. Then you have Ilhan Omar that's literally created hate speech in this nation by going after Jewish communities, by going after Republicans, by going after just white people in general, because she's part of the B Squad up there with AOC and Rashida Tlaib and the others. Then you have Eric Swalwell, probably one of the least qualified individuals to be on the House committee, let alone be chair of it, which he was a couple years ago, when the whole issue broke out with Fang Fang and sleeping with a Chinese spy to give information and having an affair with a Chinese spy while leading the Intelligence Committee. I'm glad that, we have to actually go through these things, and the fact that it's common sense, while they're like, no, that didn't happen. None of that stuff happened. And by the way, John Boehner and Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi, they all kept me on the Intelligence Committee. Why is this guy? Why? Because things are changing, baby. Things are going down, and it's going to look a little bit different in Washington, D.C. Ilhan Omar, I love as well. Not only do they put up the most radical ones up there, but they make their own case on why they're unqualified. They make their own case. While they complain about it, they literally make their own case on why they do not deserve to be on the committee. This is what Ilhan Omar had to say.
Our democracy and our governing bodies rest on a healthy and vibrant debate. Our strength lies not in our perfection, but in the diversity of our voices and our openness to civil discourse. That is why, whatever our disagreements might be as members of Congress, policy differences alone have not and must not be cause for eliminating someone from serving on a committee.
Which it's not.
In modern American history, the punishment of stripping a member of Congress of their committee assignments has been reserved for only the most egregious wrongdoings.
That would be Adam Schiff.
Those convicted or indicted on corruption, those who have...
That would also be, by the way, Adam Schiff.
Those who have engaged in bribery, sexual misconduct.
That would be Eric Swalwell.
Encouraged violence.
That would be you, Ilhan Omar.
Or other grave charges.
They literally made their own case on why they don't deserve to be on the House committee. That's kind of like Kamala Harris trying to talk about an abortion issue and saying, Constitution says right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Liberty and pursuit of happiness. We don't need that life thing. And just completely change it. You made your own case on why you don't deserve to be on the House Intelligence Committee. while complaining about not being on the House Intelligence Committee. Again, pat yourself on the back, Republicans, because things are changing. I don't have time. We may play it when we come back here after the break, but Kevin McCarthy had a response to this, which is beautiful. And again, I'm starting to trust him a little bit. You give him a little bit of an inch and see where he goes with this, but Republicans have him reined in pretty nicely right now, which is really good to see because this is what we've been looking for a long time. All I ask is everything you're doing right now, Republicans, to continue to do when you have both chambers and the presidency, which you will get if you continue this momentum and stay true to what you stand for and what you want to do. Stop anything from the Democrats coming out of the Senate and continue to put up a conservative agenda, which you have been, with another issue we'll talk about a little bit later as well. Roland Rich right around the corner here on a Thursday for The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. Welcome to the Hooser Media Network. It's been a long time coming, and now it's growing bigger and better than we ever imagined. The Hooser Media Network is so much more than just the Voice of Reason. It's a network for you as a listener and you as a podcaster. It's a network for any kind of talk on any kind of topic, bringing podcasters together to give you a new way to think about the world, and it's any type of show from entertainment to educational. Check out all of our great programs, like Dr. Devin Verana with If They Knew.
Yeah, and it gives you tangible tools. I mean, I'm sure she just mentioned that some people might be mad at the government. I just can't imagine.
No.
I think there's a little bit of anger in the world these days, but I was listening to Wayne Dyer this morning, and he said, if you grab an orange and you squeeze it, what comes out? Juice. What kind of juice? Orange juice every time, right? It's not going to be apple juice. It's never going to be mango juice. It's always going to be orange juice. So whatever is in us is going to come out when we're squeezed. And so I'm sure you're learning that, like, taking yourself through this process continually just adds more and more power, more and more depth of compassion and joy and freedom and all those good feeling things, because you're clearing that space out.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Now take people, so for anybody listening out there that might have an object of anger, whether it's somebody or something or, you know, objects out in the world these days, take us into some tactical, practical things that they can do. Number one, I'm sure, is to come see you, but what are some other things?
So I skipped that one on purpose when I was going through this, but the first book that changed my life, and I listened to it before I signed up for the, I listened to her 1 hour Zoom before I signed up for the class. She was interviewing a man who told us about a book called The Four Agreements. And so then when you get into the class, we study the book called Forgive for Good by Fred Luskin. And we went through a process by Michael Brown called The Presence Process. These are all 3 books. And I hate to be this honest, but let me be this honest. You can read those 3 books and know everything I'm going to teach you. But like any good class, I mean, just because I signed up for a class in college, I buy the books. You really need someone to guide you through them.
That, plus tune into Spiritual Smorgasbord with Desiree and Cheyenne.
It is, and we talked about that because then, of course, other things started to happen after that. Of course, that was not my last doctor's visit, by no means. However, you know, we talked about it, and I thought, you know, our ancestors were so smart. They know, like, whatever ails us, there's a cure for on this planet. We're just not smart enough to know how to use it, but our ancestors were. We need to get back to that. Modern medicine, basically what that is it is what you get from the plant, the healing benefit, just on steroids with side effects.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, modern medicine is considered sexy. It's fast resolving. It's instant gratification. But, and so like plant-based formula, the raw, natural plant-based formula is what is going to work. It's going to be great. It just takes a while. And people want that instant gratification.
Oh, yes.
So a lot of people try
It's been marketed
something.
to them that way too.
It
They're like,
has.
oh, that's the old way. It's going to take you forever. But if you just take this, you wake up tomorrow and you can have whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know.
My leg is broken, but have some Oxycontin.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
Right.
dude, your leg is still severely broken.
Right.
You just can't feel anything.
Yeah. And it's like, so let's go to nature. Let's see.
Yeah.
You know what? There's pain relievers in nature. Marijuana is a great pain reliever.
Yes.
For one. I mean, you know, just
Mentally and physically.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, but there's other remedies out there. And everything that ails us, there's a cure for on this planet.
This whole room smells like peppermint.
We're all getting cured.
We're all
now.
getting cured right now. It's a beautiful essential oil I bought from a local, I guess you could say apothecary shelf, but I'm getting healed right now.
Yes, exactly. It is. And it's all around us. We just need to know how to look for it. And I'm sorry. But that's kind of what we were discussing. And that kind of was what started this whole journey. And what I'm very fortunate that, you know, my spouse and I are together on this. It's not just one of us having a spiritual journey. It's that we're doing this together.
Listen to those shows and so much more on our website, where you can find live streaming, links to the podcast, links to social media, more content, and so much more. It's all online at HooserMedia.com.
When Reason Meets Radio. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right it is. Welcome back into the program. Moving right along for a Thursday today, the pre-Friday celebration. But we've had one heck of a week. Some awesome guests all throughout the week. Tomorrow, just to give you a little teaser, tomorrow we have a great guest, two great guests as well. We have, number one, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo with his new book that came out just a couple of days ago. We'll have, Mike Pompeo himself. He'll be joining us on the program right out of the gate tomorrow. At the bottom of next hour tomorrow, we also have a kind of a non-political issue, a very interesting. Vincent Tolman, he 20 years ago died for 2 hours and was brought back and wrote a book on what he saw from the other side. That's kind of our odd, strange story of the week.
Weird news of the day.
Yeah. So we'll do that coming up tomorrow on the program. Make sure to stay tuned in for a Friday. Right now, though, really happy to have this guy on the program. I'm so excited to have this conversation because this is, as they call it, huge and it's bigly.
What's trending today?
We just wrapped up with the World Economic Forum just a week or so ago. We have the global elites looking at centralizing all power. To hell with the Constitution, to hell with the United States and our limitations on government. And we need to go back to the monarchy style. Remember Barack Obama speaking over in the UK? I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great stuff. We love what you guys do over here. Now they are taking it to the next level. And I think COVID-19 was that social experiment to kick it all off. And now we're just moving down that nice little gravy train as quickly as we can. Here to talk about some of that and a heck of a lot more. He is a United Nations expert, also author of the new book, The United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in a Post-American World. Excited to have on the program today with us, Roland Rich. Roland, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Andy. I'm good.
Yeah, good. I'm excited to have you on the program. This is a fantastic conversation because are we living in a post-American world? Are we really still the dominance of the world, or has the American government, the American society, fallen to the global elites now?
Okay, that's the question we need to start with. Are we in the post-American world? The American world was the world that Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Roosevelt put together. It's a world of rules and institutions, and it's a world that was guaranteed by the physical, military, and economic power of the United States. Now, it was For most of that period, the United States was the dominant world power. The U.S. is still the dominant world power, but there is a sufficient percentage of the United States community that no longer wants to play that role. And I think that has limited the ability of the United States to be the guarantor of its system. And now we are entering into a new system. And my book is imagining the best possible world of that new system.
The best possible world. So we're starting at the high bar here, and it's not even imaginable what we're going to see on the low end of it, right?
Well, the low end, actually, Andy, we're seeing it. The low end is might is right. That's what Russia's doing now. That's the world Russia wants. We see a world also that China wants, and that's China as the central power in the world. And going back to history, all other nations paying tribute to China, which means all other nations bending to China's will. They're not the worlds I want to live in. I want to live in a world where we have global governance. And we have global governments from the only institution that exists that can provide global governance, and that's the United Nations, but clearly not this United Nations, which is an ineffective body that, frankly, cannot deliver on its promise.
Sure. Let's go back to some of the big threats here that are in the world right now. Obviously, like you mentioned, we have Russia with the Russia-Ukrainian conflict, and Germany is now going after them because they're running out of energy. Potentially World War III is the big headline we're seeing on Drudge Report right now. Who is, do you think, the biggest risk of the global dominance and taking that crown as the global leader? Is it Russia with the maddening of Vladimir Putin that they have, or is it China because they're financially tied to just about everything right now in the globe?
It's China.
Interesting.
This is the last hurrah of Russian power that we're watching now. Russia will not succeed in Ukraine, and Russian economy and Russian society will be crushed by this adventure. China will emerge as the dominant power on the Eurasian continent. And in fact, China's already almost there, but I think that is the likely next step.
That's a scary thought. Now, and we have concerns here in the country as well with China because obviously there's now legislation at the federal level and many states are passing this as well, concerned about China buying up agricultural land and how much dependency we have on them, not just with regular goods with stuff you get at Walmart, but I mean fertilizer for the farms and the fields and a lot of stuff for the agricultural community. They have their hands in just about everything, don't they?
Well, look, it's a very large country. There's no reason why they should not be an important country on the world stage. Yeah. And there's no reason why they shouldn't be an important trading nation throughout the world, including in the United States. I think their ambition is to go well beyond that. And I'm not sure that the United States really is in a position in terms of its politics is in a position to challenge China as it grows. And that's why I think we need to go back to that American world, the world that was created by the United States, and strengthen it. I'm calling the institution I'm talking about in my book UN 3.0. We've had UN 1.0, that was the League of Nations. We now have the UN 2.0. Neither of them worked very well. And when I do a SWOT analysis, what's wrong with the UN, I get a very odd answer. The answer of what the strength is and what the weakness of the UN is the same answer, the member states of the UN. So the challenge is to maintain the best of what the member states can provide and to liberate the UN from the clutches of the member states who really want to, keep the UN weak and powerless. I use the term member states, but really that's a misnomer. It's about governments. Governments run the UN, and those governments span the whole spectrum from democratic to totalitarian, from pseudo-democratic to authoritarian, narco governments, military governments. That's who runs the UN. And we've got to allow the UN to rise above those governments.
You're very true. We're talking with Roland Rich, the author of the book, The United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in the Post-American World. You use that metaphor with the United Nations as Leviathan. Explain by what you're meaning by that metaphor.
Yeah, well, Thomas Hobbes wrote a book in the 17th century saying that life in London was so insecure. It was a war of all against all. And what he wanted was for his fellow countrymen to agree that they needed a strong sovereign who would ensure their security. And the Leviathan, in Hobbes's mind, came to pass insofar as after 100 years or so after Hobbes wrote his book, police forces started to emerge and rule of law started to emerge, and these were run by governments. Now, I'm using Leviathan as an analogy because we are living in an anarchic world of all against all, and we now need to agree to have a powerful Leviathan, not the same as the Hobbes Leviathan, but to provide governance. I don't want a world government. I don't want the UN to be the world government. That's an impossible idea. Yeah. But I wanted to provide governance. Governance for globalization, governance for democracy and human rights, governance for pandemics, governance, incredibly importantly, for the refugee situation we're about to face.
Yeah, it is. The way they handle things is completely bogus. I mean, we see a lot of the travesties going on still in Africa, and they don't do anything about it. I mean, no one seems to be scared of what they like to send in there with the blue helmets, quote unquote. I mean, we have Vladimir Putin that's still doing humanitarian crises, blowing up apartment buildings in the Ukraine, and because they're one of the larger votes in the United Nations, there's no investigation on this stuff right now, and the governments that are dominating it, as you mentioned, are the ones that are deciding on what's right or wrong in the world, and there's no justice being done when that was the entire point of the United Nations. I personally would like to see it completely dismantled, not have a global government because of that. But like you said, having countries being able to at least converse together to make the world a better place is okay, but there's got to be limitations on these things and at least not have the tyrants being the ones dictating it, right?
That's right. And yet, Andy, we can't get away from the problems we're facing. And these problems are not going to go away. And one name for these problems are problems without passports, because they just travel around the world as they wish. We just saw an example. The pandemic is a problem without a passport. We're going to see the climate emergency is a problem without a passport, and that is going to generate an enormous number of climate refugees around the world. Now, I'm not saying that we can solve these problems, but we have to manage them. We have to govern them in some way or another that allows our systems to continue. Otherwise, we are going to be in the Hobbes world of all against all.
Yeah, absolutely. Roland, we got to take a hard break here. Can you stick over one more segment with us?
Sure thing.
Fantastic. I love it. I love the conversation. When we come back, I want to continue this on what we can do to fix the system, because as you mentioned, it is definitely broken right now. We've had 2 tries at this. Will the third one be the charm after the League of Nations, after the United Nations we have right now? What will be next in the horizon, and will it fall to the dominant tyrants across the world wanting to control, or will we actually have some type of civility, getting things back down to the domestic levels, and the domestic levels working together around the globe? Interesting conversation. The book is The United Nations as Leviathan. We'll continue this conversation right around the corner for a pre-Friday celebration. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends, or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently, as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hoosier Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the voice of reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like, so you can watch all their live streaming content, including ours right here with the Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of the Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hoosier Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hoosier-holic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hoosier Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, OurFreedomBook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle, as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right, we're out. Freedom, common sense, rationale. That's what this show is all about. Welcome back into the program. Last few minutes of the show as it goes by way too quick. Right now we're hanging out with Roland Rich, author of the book The United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in the post-American world as we find a way, if they're going to, which you know they're going to, how do we make it as efficient as possible? And here's the big question, Roland, is how do we do this? We have right now, and this is why I'm so limited government we can possibly get, and we see every time that politicians or people that try to control end up screwing it up in some way, shape, or form. We've had, as you mentioned, we had the League of Nations, we have the United Nations now that really don't do a whole lot, and America right now is financing a vast majority of the United Nations and a lot of their initiatives right now. But even on a regional level, we have NATO that's crumbled, and now we have something a little bit different, the USMCA or whatever it's called. We have the European Union, and the European Union, is so inefficient. The UK tried to break out of it with their Brexit because they had legislation for like 2,000 pages worth of regulations on how to trade a piece of cabbage from one country line to another. Are we able to make something like this efficient to work for the benefit, or is it just going to be one failed attempt after another?
We have to remain optimistic that we can do something better. So I said we need to limit governments and we need to balance governments. Yeah. One of the ideas in the book is, alongside the United Nations General Assembly, we need two other General Assemblies, one for the business community and one for civil society. Then we will have a far more balanced voice from the international community. And of course, the business community and the civil society world will not be parallel to the nations of the world. They will reflect the reality of the business community and the reality of civil society around the world. And therefore, they won't be, as to use a technical term, Westphalian. There won't be one business from every country. The business community will be represented depending on the size and strength of the business community. I think in the long term, we need that voice in the United Nations because that will be an effective voice. That will be a voice that knows how to get things done. And the civil society voice, that will be a voice that will be able to set the agenda. These are two things that the governments will have not been able to do thus far.
Yeah, that is very true. That's their biggest struggle. Right now, they're not the business owners, so they're the ones trying to abuse the businesses and setting, global tax rates for businesses that try to trade and try and do business across country lines sort of thing. If we had input from the private sectors, would this benefit, do you think, as opposed to what we have right now? Because what we're seeing right now is, for example, the King of England, the new King of England, King Charles, is coming out and saying, well, we're going to try and just squeeze the private sector until it's no more. That's the biggest threat, I think, right now, isn't it?
Well, we need an effective private sector. There's just no doubt about it that, the market system is a wealth-creating system, and we need to maintain that process, and we need to have its voice at the international community. You spoke about Davos at the beginning of the program, Andy. That is the voice largely of the international business community, and we need to integrate that into the decision-making of the UN.
I like it. Now, some of the other ones as well, not just the World Economic Forum, but then we have the G12, the G8, some of these other ones. Where do those fit in, and are those beneficial, do you think?
Well, the G7 and the G20 are governments, so they are just a more efficient way for governments to get together and make decisions. That's a process of summitry, that they meet at the summit level, and that's an efficient way of meeting. Unfortunately, we can't have a summit of 193 countries in the UN to come up with an efficient decision. That's why we have a G20. That's just about the maximum size that you can get together and be effective in decision-making. But even they lack the voices of civil society and the business community. I want to include those in the UN 3.0 that I'm imagining.
Yeah, including the private sector, including the business owners that actually see the boots on the ground, what's going on across the globe. It is the United Nations as Leviathan, Global Governance in the Post-American World. Roland Rich is the author. Roland, it's great to talk to you, my friend. We're out of time. I appreciate it very much. We got to get you back on the show again real soon, my friend.
Thanks, Andy. Good to talk to you.
Hey, you as well. Very interesting conversation as we continue to move forward. And obviously, this is going to happen one way or the other. The downsizing and ridding of a global oversight from governments is not going to happen. So how do we make this as efficient as possible? That's a very fascinating conversation we'll continue to have on this program. Until then, We're out of time. It's all done. There's no more we can do. Back at it tomorrow for a Friday. Big show lined up tomorrow as well. Make sure to stay tuned in. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch The Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with The Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.
Stand by.